the education for all. Gyanwani, education at your doorstep. It's only on Gyanwani.
Namaskar, my name is Shilpa Jadhav. I am teaching sociology in NG Acharya and DK Marathi College at Chembur. Friends, today we are going to see Unit 3, Environment and Society. In that we are going to see social and environmental issues in India. First part, issues of urban environment. Introduction, pertaining to population. We all of us know that worldwide urban areas have become engines for economic growth in the global economy as well as center of diversity and change. Urbanization is also a measure of progress towards industry and services. Cities have proven themselves capable of mobilizing large quantities of human and physical capital in remarkable brief span of time. This rapid organization has posed to a number of challenges and problems before governments. In developing countries, urban areas are the crux of struggle to achieve better living standards. However, we can see in the urbanizing area, due to rapid growth of population, rising slum areas, poverty, even though many urban areas fail to provide basic necessities and opportunities to the people. Rapid growth reflects migration of people to cities as well as natural population increase among urban residents. A huge increasing in the urban population in poorer countries are part of a second wave, a demographic, economic and urban transition much bigger and faster than the first. The first wave of a modern transition began in Europe and North America in the early 18th century. The urban growth in developing countries is more rapid and in absolute numbers much greater than developed nation. The developing world as a whole has been predominantly rural but rapidly is becoming urban. In future, nearly all population growth worldwide will take place in urban areas of developing countries. The number of big cities will grow substantially. The proportion of urban population was 25% in 1975, is expected to cross 50% by 2030, both in Asia and in Africa. Due to overpopulation, we have various problems relating to housing and slums. Housing people in a city or abolishing houselessness in a serious problem. Our government and other people live industrialist, capitalist, entrepreneur, landlords have been unable to keep back with the housing need of the poor and the middle class people. According to the 1988 UNI report, between 1/4 and half of the urban population in India's largest cities lives in makeshift shelter and slums. Millions of people are required to pay excessive rent, that is, one which is beyond their means. Some homes are overcrowded, that 5 to 6% live in one room. We have seen that some cities are literally overcrowded. There are so many factors are responsible for rapid urban growth. In the developing rapid urban population growth due to three basic factors. The first factor, migration from rural areas and from other urban areas. The second factor, natural population increases among the urban resident. The third factor, reclassification of previously rural areas as urban as they became built up and changed character. Now we can see the urbanization trend in India. The level of urbanization in India was 27.78% in 2001, which was much lower than the average level of urbanization in the developing countries. Urbanization in India has been relatively slow compared to many developing countries. The percentage of annual exponential growth rate to urban population in India grew at faster pace from the decade 1921 to 31 to until 1951. Urbanization process in India is not mainly migration led but a product of demographic explosion due to natural increase. People migrate to cities not due to urban pull but due to the rural push. Due to migration and other different causes of population explosion, there are rapid growth in urbanization. Rapid urbanization can create stress on the natural environment. The level of a per capita resource consumption, water and air population and soil degradation and contamination have increased significantly with increased population of cities in developing countries. We know that we are responsible for this situation. Now it is an urgent need to solve the various problems regarding urban environment. Now we are going to discuss water and sanitation problem, which is most important and burning issues in our society. Water and sanitation. Water is extremely necessary for everyone's life. This general fact is known to all. It is required to meet our fundamental need in day-to-day life. That is cooking, irrigation, bathing, disposal of sewage, cooling and manufacturing dissimilar products in industries, and the disposal of industrial waste. During all this process, the undesirable substances are added to the water resources to a great extent. Fast population growth with accelerated urbanization combined with scarce water supplies and poor sanitation means that the government often cannot supply enough water to meet demand. Water is a scarce, expensive resource for the urban poor in some cities, which often obtained in some quantities from street vendors. Fact is that water is considered to be a prime natural resource, a basic human need, but it is now widely recognized that the world is going to face a water crisis due to urbanization and industrialization. Scarcity of water in urban areas has been a concern of many developing countries. When we all talking about India, although the country is developing towards cent% water outreach, only half of the population is cities is covered by sanitation services. The current low level of sanitation coverage is partly compared with the water supply. The availability of a safe drinking water is a problem in many cities, especially in the slum areas. This is related to overpopulation. The problem is more prominent in the unnotified slum where these facilities are rarely paid attention, or these unnotified slums areas are deprived of various programs and schemes. Population growth is expected to result in a decline in the per capita availability of fresh water. There are various sources of water pollution. The first, industrial effluents. Industrial water, the first industrial effluents. The industrial wastage are discharged in the adjoining rivers and streams through the flush lines of factories. The second one, agricultural source. Increased utilize of fertilizers has become necessary for high-yielding crop plants. Excess of nitrates used as a fertilizer seep into groundwater is carried into lakes and ponds. The third source of water pollution, mineral oils. The fourth one, domestic sewage. The fifth one, thermal pollution. Sixth one, marine water pollution. Second last, pesticides, and the last one, underground water pollution. These are the causes of water pollution. Now we are going to discuss the effects of water pollution. The main effects of water pollution are: the first one, cadmium damage kidney and liver. The second one, detergent soap and alkalis consequences if foam formation. The third one, biomagnification is the increase of toxic substance at each level of food chain. The fourth one, death of a fish and other aquatic life. And the last one, anemia, jaundice, diarrhea, trachoma, hookworm disease. Diarrhea disease are the major waterborne malady responsible for 90% of the health problems related to water supply and sanitation. WHO estimated the worldwide about the 2.3 billion people suffer from disease that are linked to water problem, and water related disease kill millions of people each year. In the above discussion we can understand the availability of water disease related to water. Beside availability, another important issue is the quality of water which is supplied to the resident. Absence of technically qualified personnel and inadequate laboratory facilities for the periodic analysis of water are the major reasons behind supplied. For healthy life, we should control on water pollution. We can do many things which are in town where sewage facilities are not available. Septic tanks should be made in the houses. Rivers and lakes should not be used for bathing or washing as it is contaminates water. Domestic sewage and industrial wastage should be treated previous discharging them into drains. Separate ponds and tanks to be used for the cattle and animal. I hope that you can understand water pollution and its impact on human life. Now let us discuss on sanitation and hygiene. India faces a daunting challenge in urban sanitation. Over 1/4 of urban household lack of private toilets and is an evident lack of hygiene facility in public places. We can see that within a city, gap between rich and poor pertaining to access to basic services is huge. Sanitation facilities are largely missing the poor. Benchmark surveys, rapid appraisal and exploratory studies by National Institute of Urban Affairs note a negligible sewage coverage, severe drainage problem and poor solid water collection in slums. Poor sanitation is known to increase the risks of mobility and mortality from diarrhea among children. Sanitation and hygiene has important bearing on health of individuals and their overall quality of life. Water supply and sanitation are the state subjects. Ministry of Water Resources, Ministry of Urban Development and Poverty Alleviation, Environment and Forest all have got a different roles to play to provide drinking water of adequate quality and potable quality to meet the health needs of the community. All of them are involved and play their respective role to provide quality water and its management. But due to population growth, that facilities are not sufficient for all people. Historically, municipalities were the main providers of public toilets, but these facilities suffered from the poor maintenance and cleanliness and were largely avoided by the public. But nowadays, municipalities and NGOs are better maintain them standard municipal toilets. The experiment of Sulabh toilets has gained a tremendous appreciation. The basic problem is excessive urbanization and the resultant slumming of cities. As all of you know that politicians use migrants as vote banks. They remain unconcerned with the taking necessary civic action. Lack of understanding at the planning level. Lack of coordination between the agencies concerned, mismanagement of municipalities and lack of necessary funds provided by the government. As a long-term remedy, what is needed is using new techniques of refuse collection, new technology for the disposal of garbage, and a fundamental change in the municipal infrastructure and land use planning. After the discussion, now we are going to study health for women, or pollution and health both are interlinked with one another. What is pollution? The word pollution is derived from the Latin word polluere, which means to contaminate any feature of the environment. Environmental pollution may be broadly defined as adding to the environment a potentially hazardous substance or a source of energy faster than the rate at which the environment can accommodate it. There are many types of pollutions. We have already seen in the previous points that what are the consequences of pollution, what water and sanitation on human life. Now we are going to discuss impact of pollution on women's health. Women's health is further harmed by air and water pollution and lack of sanitation. The high incidence of malnutrition present amongst the women and their low metabolism and other health problems affect their capacity to deal with chemical stress. Our cities and towns are major polluters of the environment. The smallest town contributes its share of garbage and excreta to the nearest water way through its open drain. Urban industry pollutes the atmosphere with smoke and toxic gases from its chimney. It is very much dangerous for our human life, human health. The poison we put in the environment comes right back to us through our air, water and food, slowly sweeping into our bodies and showing up as a cancer, immune disorders or as hormonal system disorders. We are going to focus Bhopal gas tragedy and its consequences on human society in the Bhopal city. Bhopal gas tragedy is a catastrophic tragedy occurred in 3rd December 1984 on what was a bracing winter morning. Mixed with the winter breeze was a highly toxic grey cloud that was emerging from the Union Carbide C factory. The poisonous substance stored in a tank number 610 of the factory was later found to be methyl-isonate, that is MIC. According to the expert, MIC is considered to be an extremely reactive chemical and used to produce insecticides. When water got mixed this with MIC, an exothermal chemical reaction started which resulted in a lot of heat being produced. As the pressure in the tank built up beyond safe levels, the safety valve burst open violently and the gas leaked as around 40 tons of this gas spread through the city. There was no alarm or any kind of to warn the inhabitants of this populous town. Within hours, the streets of Bhopal were littered with human corpses and carcasses of animals and birds. As estimated, 3,800 people died immediately and 5 lakh people affected directly and indirectly, and many more thousands of families were permanently affected for generation. 2 decades after, more than a few lakh of people are still suffering from the debilitating effects of the gas, which includes respiratory problems, cancer, congenital birth defects, blindness, cough, dyspnea or disorder of lungs, chest pain leading to acute lung failure, cardiac arrest and death. It has related in many children being born with genetic defects and mental retardation. It has also had a long-term effect on the reproductive cycle of affected women and the quality of their breast milk. Bhopal gas tragedy was the worst industrial disaster the world has even seen, resulting in inculcate deaths and subsequent permanent effect. Many are calling it the world's biggest humanitarian disaster. Indirectly, it has led to a massive unemployment, destitution and widespread psychological problems in the people. Now, in a conclusion, we need to create awareness among all the people to maintain our environment. Due to population explosion, we face so many problems like water pollution, sanitation, pollution problem. We are the victims of all environmental problems, but these problems were created by us. There are some questions for you, student. The first question, give 2 reasons of population explosion. The second question, write various type of pollution. The third question, give 2 reasons of water pollution. The fourth question, which experiment has gained tremendous appreciation? And the last question, name the gas leaked at the time of Bhopal gas tragedy.